So PlayStation continues to receive some serious backlash from people all over the damn world, from the media, from video gamers, PlayStation fans, you name it. They are just getting completely hammered. And right now they're being sued for like $500 million. So it's a class action lawsuit against them. And this isn't the only lawsuit. I mean, there was already a lawsuit against them before. Regarding people who were losing their content, getting banned from their account, things like that. And I think there was like a $9 billion lawsuit against them last I seen, which was about a year ago or so. So they've got plenty of lawsuits that are against them that they have to deal with right now. And today I kind of want to talk not so much about PlayStation themselves, but really about the PlayStation fangirls and all of these losers out here who, you know, they're pretty much butthurt and they're pissed off with what's going on right now. But because they are PlayStation fangirls at heart, they have to keep coping and saying that Nintendo is going to follow suit and that they're going to get rid of all physical media. They're going to go all digital too. Just wait and see. And it's like, oh yeah. So isn't it kind of funny how Nintendo has never copied off of PlayStation and Xbox, even to their own detriment, arguably. When it came to online play, Nintendo has always been stubborn when it comes to communication, adding friends. They always made that very difficult. You know, we still have to enter in friend codes and all that. So it's still kind of, still kind of a challenge, but it's a lot easier these days to add friends when you play video games. You can add people from recent games that you played or whatever, but before, damn, you had to like enter the dude's friend code and they had to enter your friend code, and it was ridiculously challenging. It was always a challenge when it came to online play with Nintendo because that's just how stubborn they were. But, PlayStation and Xbox, on the other hand, they made it extremely easy. Perverts could talk to kids, grown-ass men, grown-ass losers, a bunch of man boys who think they're cool and mature because they play M-rated games. They could get online and they could cuss out little kids who are making them angry or whatever on Call of Duty. That was a thing with PlayStation and Xbox that you can do. But Nintendo was always very hesitant to, allow anything like that to happen. And because of that, they always received criticism saying, why can't they just be like PlayStation and Xbox? Why can't they just be normal? So, that's just one good example of Nintendo not following suit, not doing things the way the other two do it, even if it means that it's going to make it to where less people want to play online video games for them. And then, of course, there was the graphical rat race. The graphical rat race that Xbox and PlayStation engaged in since the PlayStation 3 era, or since the PlayStation 3, I should say, because, the Wii is the one that dominated that era. Nintendo always refused to, make their systems more powerful and capable. They just said, no, we're not gonna put these expensive, specs inside of our console. We're gonna use very cheap, outdated specs, and we're just gonna be innovative with our system, like the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch. That's all they ever focused on was innovation, and each system would only be slightly more powerful than the last system. And it didn't matter how much people bitched and moaned about it on the internet, crying, really, Nintendo, why can't you make it more powerful? Why can't you do this? It didn't matter. They said, fuck you, we're not doing that. We're not going to be like PlayStation and Xbox. We're not following suit. It's only with the Switch 2 that you can argue that they finally opted for more power. But again, it's less powerful than the other systems. It's just powerful enough to play these third-party games. It's powerful enough to, play these really big games that you can't play on the regular Nintendo Switch. And it has DLSS, which makes that even more possible. So you can still argue that Nintendo hasn't really changed much because they were finally able to make a console that's a little bit up to date, but the specs inside of it are still quote-unquote outdated, but who cares? It doesn't matter. The games still look good. The games still run very well. But needless to say, it is the less powerful system, which is why they're able to charge far less for it, whereas the other two are getting really close to $1,000. So it's kind of funny how you have so many dumbasses who are just confident that Nintendo's going to copy off of PlayStation when it comes to physical media, even though they never copy off them with anything else. They didn't copy off them when it comes to graphics, power, when it comes to online play, the online features and everything. They didn't copy off them then. But boy, people are so confident that Nintendo's going to follow suit, and they're going to get rid of physical media, and they're going to have an all-digital future. And this is just a bunch of cope, is really all it is. It's just a bunch of cope from PlayStation Fangirls. They're all saying the same bullshit on their YouTube channels or in the comment section. Oh, none of them care about us. None of them. You know, Nintendo doesn't care about us either. They don't want you to own your video game. It was like, okay, the game keycard thing. Let's just talk about the game keycards or whatever, and how so many stupid people act like that's proof that Nintendo doesn't want us to own our games, or that they don't like physical media. That's still physical media, by the way. Game keycard is still fucking physical. You can at least trade it. You can still trade it, sell it, you can let somebody borrow it so they can play the game. It's still a piece of physical media. But here's the thing about that. They're not the fucking ones who, you know, invented this bullshit of game keycards. PlayStation and Xbox were doing game key discs way before that. And you know what? It's worse with them because there was no fucking transparency. You would buy a video game, for example. I bought For Honor for the Xbox One, and that fucking, you know, it's not the full game on there. And what's even worse is the fact that, you know, you can't play the game unless you have Wi-Fi, unless you have internet connection. So is there a single Nintendo game right now that you cannot play unless you have internet connection? That's something people I don't think really talk about. There's a lot of PlayStation and Xbox games that require, you know, you to be connected to the internet, and you can't fucking play the game unless you have internet. But there doesn't seem to be a video game like that for Nintendo, unless it's like an eShop game or something like that. But I don't even think so. Even then, I don't even think so, right? So it's kind of funny how so many stupid asses, they always got to have some bullshit to say about Nintendo, and they seem to always turn a blind eye to the good things that Nintendo does, or turn a blind eye to the things that Nintendo are not doing. They're not doing a lot of the bullshit that PlayStation and Xbox are doing. But boy, let's just keep quiet and not talk about that. We can only talk about Nintendo when they do something bad. Like recently, there was that Mario Kart Tour app on the phone that only 3% of gamers in the world were playing. You know, it was just not a lot of people were really bothering with that. Nobody really played it that much. But Nintendo decided to get rid of it, and of course, idiots are like, "Oh, how dare they? You know, people poured millions of dollars into this thing, and Nintendo just got rid of it." It's like, "Oh yeah, sure. Show me the numbers on that. Show me all the millions of dollars that were poured into that app." So it's just kind of funny how people were desperately trying to turn that into a big deal, because obviously the big deal right now is the fact that PlayStation has gotten rid of, or is getting rid of, physical media. So of course they got to find something on Nintendo, and that was like the most negative thing they could find to talk about. But it didn't really last that long, like, because nobody cares. Nobody gave a shit about this Mario Kart Tour phone game. Everybody's playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, and then you got a good amount of people who are playing Mario Kart World on the Switch 2 now. Most of you stupid asses out there pretend that you hate mobile games and you don't like games going mobile or whatever. So it's kind of funny how you're pretending to be outraged over this mobile game being shut down. I find that kind of funny. Nintendo has already stated that they don't plan on going all digital. They like physical media. That's why they continue to make things like, Amiibo, Alarmo, the damn talking flower. They even brought back the Virtual Boy. They literally made a Virtual Boy accessory that we can use. They even made a cardboard version of it. Pretty sure Nintendo kind of loves physical media, and they don't want to get rid of that. I think Nintendo loves the idea of people going into stores and seeing all of their games on the shelves right there. Nintendo does not really give a shit about what's going to make them the most money. They have their views, their philosophies. They're just different, there's certain things that they just like. Again, it goes back to online play. They want online to be a certain way. They just don't want weirdos talking to little kids, or they don't want these goofy ass men who act like children to be talking to other children and getting mad at them over Call of Duty. They just don't want that, And, even though it's like, you can argue, yeah, that's really none of their business. That's not their problem. And they could be making more money if they just, let loose or whatever and just, not cared. Yeah, Nintendo just isn't that company. They kind of they have a vision of how they want things to be. So you can't sit there and say that for certain that Nintendo is going to follow suit. They're going to get rid of physical media because you know what? They never follow suit on anything that PlayStation and Xbox does. So y'all just need to shut the hell up. Nintendo right now is the best video game console on the market by a country mile. It ain't the damn Steam machine, PlayStation 5, Xbox, it's none of those. But anyways, keep coping, keep, writing your bullshit comments about how you're going to enjoy your backlog of games or whatever because, there's not a single console right now that you desire to get, even though the Switch 2 is, it's doing really well. They're getting a lot of great games on it, but so many of you guys, former PlayStation fangirls, now you're becoming PC fangirls, so I just think that's funny. You're not going to see former Nintendo fans converting over to PC gaming because you know what? Nintendo is cooking right now and they're giving us great games, giving us better features, and they're still the most affordable system. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. You let me know what you think. Leave as many comments down below. Don't forget to hit like. If you're new to this channel, hit subscribe. And I will see each and every single one of you later.